Last January, I decided to save $200 a week. I seriously decided. Not I'll try, but that's it, starting Monday. I opened a separate account, set up an automatic transfer, and even wrote a plan for myself on the fridge. For 3 weeks, everything went perfectly. In week 4, I bought a jacket that I needed. In week 6, I ordered food 3 times in 1 week because I was too tired to cook. By the end of the month, I had not just failed to save what I planned, I had spent more than I was saving. And here is the strangest part. I did not forget about the plan. I remembered it. I just did not connect each purchase in the moment with the decision I had made 3 weeks earlier. It was like that decision had been made by someone else, not by me. There is a common myth about goldfish, that they only have a 3-second memory. That is not true about fish, but it is surprisingly accurate when it comes to what happens with money for most people, including me. We do not literally forget our financial decisions. We lose connection with them in the exact moment when the decision actually needs to be applied. I call this the goldfish effect. And by the end of this video, you will understand why your brain works this way, why willpower has almost nothing to do with it, and what actually breaks the cycle. Because simply saying, "This time I'll be more disciplined," will not work. It never works. I tested it 20 times. My name is Mia. Let's start with why your brain forgets the decision at the exact moment when it matters most. What is the goldfish effect? Here's what's actually happening, and it has nothing to do with a lack of willpower. When you decide to start saving money, you make that decision in a calm, rational state of mind, usually in the evening, on a Sunday, or after seeing a worrying number in your bank account. In that moment, your brain is thinking long-term. It can see the bigger picture years into the future. It says, yes, $200 a week sounds reasonable. I can do that. But the purchase doesn't happen in that state of mind. It happens in a completely different moment. You're tired after a difficult day. You notice a sale, your friends invite you out to dinner, or your phone is dying and you suddenly need a new case right now. In that moment, your brain isn't thinking about the next several years. It's thinking about the next 5 minutes. And here's the trick. These are literally 2 different modes of thinking, and they don't communicate very well. The decision made by your calm, long-term brain on Sunday evening simply isn't present in the mind of your tired, short-term brain at the checkout counter at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. Not because you're weak, but because they are 2 different decision-making systems, and one of them doesn't leave notes for the other. That's why the plan on the refrigerator didn't work. It was hanging in the kitchen. But I made the decision to buy the jacket in the fitting room, where there was no refrigerator, no plan, and no Sunday version of me. There was only Tuesday me, tired, standing in front of a jacket that looked amazing. That is the goldfish effect. It's not that you forget the plan. It's that the plan lives in one room of your mind while your decisions are made in another, and there is no door between those rooms. Why willpower won't help here? Most financial advice is built around one false idea. If you want it badly enough, you'll remember your plan when it matters. Just be disciplined. Just think about the future. Just don't give up. That doesn't work, and here's why. Willpower isn't a permanent resource that you either have or you don't. It's a battery that slowly drains throughout the day. Every decision you've made since morning, what to wear, what to eat, whether to reply to that message, how to deal with an annoying coworker, uses up some of that battery. By evening, when the impulse purchase happens, the battery is almost empty. And that's exactly when you're relying on willpower to remember the decision you made on Sunday. It's like asking a phone with a dead battery to make one more call. Technically, it might be possible. In practice, it usually doesn't work. That's why blaming yourself for this is both pointless and harmful. You didn't fail because of some flaw in your character. You ran into a predictable feature of how the human brain works. And here's the interesting part. Once you understand that, you stop trying to solve the problem with willpower and start solving it through design. In other words, instead of trying to become stronger, you build a system that works even when your battery is at 0. That's how everyone who truly breaks this cycle does it, not because they have more willpower, but because they stopped relying on their memory in the moment and instead. What this looks like in real life. Let me show you what this cycle looks like for different people, because once you see it, you won't be able to stop recognizing it in yourself. There's the paycheck version. You get paid, feel a surge of confidence, and spend generously for the first few days. You've earned it, after all. By the middle of the month, you realize there's almost nothing left, panic, and cut back on everything during the final week. The following month, the cycle repeats itself exactly. In the excitement of this month, you don't remember the panic of the previous one, because once again, they are two different states of mind that don't communicate with each other. There's the app version. You download a spending tracker and enthusiastically enter everything for the first week. Then you forget for a day, then for a week, and eventually delete the app a month later, feeling like a failure. This isn't a failure of discipline. It's a forgotten decision to track your spending colliding with the tired version of you who doesn't want to open yet another app at the end of the day. And then there's the big goal version. You decide to save for a vacation, an emergency fund, or anything else. And for the first week, it feels inspiring. Then life happens. A friend invites you out to dinner, the show you're watching moves to a subscription service, or your car breaks down. Each of those decisions feels completely reasonable in the moment. None of them feels like a betrayal of the bigger goal, because when the decision is being made, that bigger goal simply isn't in the room. Notice the pattern shared by all three. The problem isn't that someone is bad with money. The problem is that the decision and the moment when it needs to be applied are separated by time, and the brain doesn't build a bridge between them on its own. Someone has to build that bridge by hand, because unless you build it, it simply won't exist. How to break the cycle. Here's what actually works, and it's going to sound almost frustratingly simple. That's exactly why it works. First, separate the decision from the moment of purchase. This is the one real principle that everything else follows from. If the decision is made right there, at the moment of purchase, you've already lost, because the decision is being made by your tired, short-term brain, not your calm, long-term one. So you need to make the decision in advance and set things up so that when the purchase moment arrives, there's nothing left for you to decide. Here's what that looks like in practice. An automatic transfer to a separate account on payday before you even see the money in your main account. You don't decide to save all over again every week. You make the decision once while you're calm, and the system carries it out for you while your tired Tuesday brain doesn't even realize the decision is being made again. Second, build a bridge between those two rooms in your mind using something physical rather than relying on memory. Remember the plan on the refrigerator that didn't work? The problem wasn't the idea. The problem was that the plan was in the wrong room. The bridge works when it appears at the exact moment of purchase, not somewhere separate from it. It could be a simple rule. Before buying anything above a certain amount, take a picture of it and send yourself a message asking whether you really want it. You don't have to wait 30 days if that feels too difficult. Even a 5-minute pause can bring your calm brain back into the room. Third, and this is the most important part, forgive the goldfish. Every time the cycle repeats, you have a choice. Blame yourself for being weak, or notice exactly where the bridge between those two rooms broke and repair that specific part. The first path leads to shame and abandoning the entire system. The second leads to a small adjustment and allows you to keep going. The people who eventually break this cycle aren't the ones who never experienced it. They're the ones who repaired the bridge again and again instead of giving up after it broke the first time. And here's what happened when I finally understood this. I stopped trying to be the Sunday version of myself every day of the week. Instead, I built a system where the Sunday version of me makes the decision once, and the rest of the week simply follows that decision automatically, without me having to constantly remember it or keep wanting it. Final thoughts. So this is what it all comes down to. You don't forget your financial decisions because you're bad with money. You forget them because the decision and the moment when you need to act on it live in two different rooms of your mind, and by default, there is no door between them. The goldfish effect isn't a diagnosis. It's simply how the human brain works. And once you recognize it, you stop fighting yourself and start building bridges. in advance, while you're still in the calm room, rather than waiting until your battery is almost empty. You don't need to become a different person. You need one automated system and one small bridge between the decision and the purchase. That's it. That really is all it takes. Every week, I break down one money topic like this, calmly, without panic, and without any big promises. If you recognized yourself in this cycle, the next video picks up exactly where we left off. It's already waiting for you right here. My name is Mia. Don't just take my word for it. Build one bridge and watch the goldfish finally begin to remember.